Do tough times bring you closer, or do they kind of tear you apart, Nads?
Can we just say, why did they finish Brookside?
I know.
Before we go... Tim, we love Brookside. Did you love Brookside? Yeah. Oh, I hope they bring it back. I definitely think that my kids absolutely hate it when I say what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. All my sayings, they hate them, and they're not mine. My borrowed sayings. But I think that it probably has with Mark and I, definitely, because when I think about, like, when things have been really tough in our marriage and we've thought, God, we're not going to get through this, and then we do, you know, it's like as we got older with everything, isn't it? We go, oh, well, I survived that, that'll be... And so I think for him, definitely it would have been at points through my menopause when I was a screaming, banshee, like, nutter. I was a nutter for life. I was just very difficult. I was really awful. But he was always really nice to me. But I didn't know that secretly he was thinking, will this marriage work? So he didn't even say that to me. But whereas when it's been difficult between me and Mark and things that he's doing, I've always said to him, right, unless this changes, it's over. And he's been brilliant with that, you know, with his sobriety. And then after the sobriety, after he got sober, he cross-addicted a lot to jealousy. And the jealousy was just awful. It was so bad. And actually, when we went to couples counselling, I said that unless you do some work on this, we're not going to survive it. And it's something that's made me love him even more, that he's worked so hard on that. Because I think jealousy is a really difficult thing because it's all tied up in low self-esteem and childhood, and it's very enmeshed thing if you suffer with jealousy. And I say suffer because unless you're a vile narcissist who's controlling somebody with it, I think it's very, very painful to suffer jealousy.
Definitely.
And he had, like, an OCD with it. After he gave up alcohol, he then went to, like, being a bit obsessive with me. But he worked so hard on it, and it is not in our marriage. It'll be in him, but he's learnt to control it for me.
He put that time in to work through that, work on himself, and you know, and work through that for the marriage.
Absolutely.
Did that sort of give you a newfound respect, almost, in terms of the work that you put in?
Because when he was acting out and being really jealous, you know, I didn't like him. And I was unable to see him and see the things that I loved about him. So when he really worked on it, and then I think that, to me, is real love, when somebody says something major and then you go through the work to try and shift it. I did with menopause reactions, and I went to a therapist and all of that, and him. So we've won. I think we choose every day to stay together.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
I mean, Kelly, some people might say, or Jay might say if he was sitting here, you kind of put him to the test before you got married, didn't you?
Well, yeah, so Jay and I met on online and via a dating website. And so when I put my profile on, I put Christian, I would like to get married, and I also put the fact that I didn't believe in sex before marriage, so that people knew what they were getting. I didn't want to,
what they weren't getting.
Or what they weren't getting. Very nice. I like what you did there, Jane.
Back of the net, Jane.
Yeah, I love that. But so you know, at the end of the day, I didn't want to lull anybody into a sort of false sense of, you know, expectation. But that in itself, that says a lot about the person, that they, even though you say that this is me and this is what you're going to get and this is what you're not going to get. So I think that's important. But for me, throughout the marriage, we've had, you know, throughout the marriage, there were so many ups and downs. Like, you know, even when I was ill, becoming the person that I was, as in, you know, ulcers on my face, you know, hair falling out, you know, super slim.
From the lupus.
Yeah, from lupus. Becoming that way, even, you know, to the point of having psychological damage. You know, I'm sure I wasn't recognisable at all. And that wasn't the person that he married. So, but then, you know, you work through that. So, yeah, it's, you know, it's give and take. As long as both parties are willing to see it through and do the work, like Mark, then you can make it through.
Do you know, there's some fantastic, fascinating, not fantastic, statistics here. Studies, right, have shown if a woman becomes seriously ill with, say, cancer, divorce is 6 times more likely than if the husband does. Isn't that's like quite eye-opening, isn't it?
That doesn't surprise me.
No, I think that's it at all.
And obviously couples with high financial stress, we do know that money issues are twice as likely to divorce. If one partner has depression or anxiety, the divorce risk increases by 30 to 50%.
Wow.
So, you know, the fact that you
Yeah.
guys have endured all those ups and downs is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And roughly 30 to 60% of couples attempt to stay together after infidelity, but only about 15 to 30% of those actually make it long term.
Yeah.
You don't believe in the forever contract, do you?
I think it's actually really unfair with what we now know. Like, even those stats alone, if you read that out as a contract in a boardroom, then you'd have serious questions. And yet we're making men and women adhere to those rules of, let's say, vows in a church that are then upheld with a legal law. But, you know, if I think of who my 20-year-old self was to who I am now at 47, I'm a different person. So you're making people, you know, it's almost like this trial of endurance. And I know it's a generational thing, because my mum and dad would absolutely say, through, you know, hell or high water, we stuck together. But I don't always know if that's the right thing. I don't know if I'd advise I wouldn't advise my children that now. Because if you don't grow at the same rate, or life throw these, you know, these curveballs at you and you become different people, or you hear of abusive marriages or health implications, and what if you have all three of those? Finance, cheating, financial infidelities as well, and the pressure of illness. That's a lot of pressure that you're creating within a marriage, and saying, well, we're going to just hang on because it's a sunk cost fallacy. We put the time in. We have to see this through. But you've only got one life. I don't want my children to endure life. I want them to enjoy life.
Yeah. I've been told to shut up, so we'll carry on afterwards.